Hello friends, it's Greg here again on the Blue Feather Ephemera channel. I have an eBay store by the same name where I sell vintage magazine print advertising, and every week I put together a video to show you what's sold in the store. This week we've got some ads to look at that are fun, beautiful, interesting, and it's always a good time. So come on, let's get started. Our first advertisement ran in Argosy Magazine, 1955, and the advertiser is Sir Walter Raleigh Tobacco. This is a canned pipe tobacco, so it's a loose tobacco. And in the detail of the ad here, you can see this fellow. He's fetching home the Christmas tree, and he's talking about the season's fragrance. And everybody knows how fragrant a pine tree is, but he's not talking about the pine tree when he's talking about fragrance. He's talking about the fragrant tobacco, and that's what he's daydreaming about as his wife is decorating the tree. He's looking at her loading the tree, but he's thinking about loading his pipe. And then he says, man, what a pleasure when it's lit. And so, of course, they light up the Christmas tree there. So this is definitely a Christmas ad for this season of the year. And I sold this for $7.89. It's on its way to North Carolina. The second ad that I'm going to show you is also for Sir Walter Raleigh Tobacco. They're showing it here packaged in a box, but this is from 1943. So this goes back 12 years earlier. This is the World War II era. And so they're poking fun at paratroopers here. And this fellow says, your idea seems to work, Corporal. And what they've done is they're dangling tobacco, Sir Walter Raleigh tobacco, out on some kind of a stick or something like that. And that's they're getting the troops to leap out of the airplane. They're stretching and they're reaching for the tobacco, but that's how they're coaxing them to jump out of the perfectly good airplane, as we used to say. And this ran in Look Magazine, 1943, $9.69, sent it to Texas. Next up, I've got a pair of advertisements that went to the same customer, and these ads ran in Drug Markets Magazine, 1931. This first one here, it's talking about the Absolute Flower Essences that are marketed by Fritsche Brothers Incorporated. And we'll zoom in just a little bit and show you some of the detail of this ad right here. Um, that's a interesting font that they've used there, but not really a standout kind of thing. Just because of the age of this ad, I went ahead and put $16.77 on it, and it sold at a 10% discount, and it's on its way to New York. This page is the same advertiser, which is the Fritsche Brothers, same magazine title, Drug Markets, but a different issue of the year 1931. This one advertises their jasmine perfume bases. And in the detail here, I just want to show you, I thought that this font was much more representative of the Art Deco style from that period of time. So just a prettier font, I think, made for a more interesting ad. So I priced this one up at $18.77. Of course, it was also 10% off. So I sold it for $16.89, and it also went to New York. On the screen right now, you see a nice looking ad for Myers Original Rum Cream. It's a rustic looking sign. This would look great in somebody's bar or a man cave, and that's why I put those words in the title. But I'm going to zoom in on the ad just a little bit, and it really is nice looking. It looks like an old tavern sign or something here with the tall ship with three masts on it. So it's a really good looking ad. But the reason I got excited about selling this is, well, first of all, let me say it ran in Playboy Magazine 1982, so it's not very old. I priced it at only $10.77. But what's exciting about it, it sold to a buyer with the last name Myers, spelled the same way, and it also went to Jamaica. So it thrills me to think that this is possibly going to somebody who might be a relative of the original owner of this distillery. So I think that's pretty cool. With the sale price $9.69, sent it to Jamaica. Here's a nice advertisement from the World War II years, 1943 here. And this ran in Woman's Home Companion. And the advertiser is Fashion Frocks of Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, we'll go into show you just a little bit of the detail right here. Talks about how ladies can earn $23 a week and get your own dresses free if you're helping sell these fashion frocks. And it talks about growing demand. Down here, it says that basically the work of selling these is done for you because they advertise in all of these magazines of that period: Ladies' Home Journal, Woman's Home Companion, True Story, McCall's, Household, Modern Romances, and many others. And so basically, they've created the demand, and then all you have to do is just show up with a way for them to make the purchase. Now, it talks about a couple of these models here, and I didn't even recognize that these were celebrity models when I posted this up for sale, but that's fine. Judith Gibson here stars in Paramount's Holiday Inn, and then there's a lady here named Roseanne Stevens, and down at the bottom is Benny Barnes. And so, of course, these are just artist renditions, but anyway, a pretty ad. I marked the price at $21.77 at 10% off, $19.59. Sent this ad from Woman's Home Companion to Idaho. Next is a Remington Rand advertisement from 1941. This company based in Buffalo, New York. And what they're advertising here is a printing calculator, and it talks about victory. I like the way that the text of this ad starts out. It says, "Peaceful desks. Yes, far away from the bombs and blitz and bloodshed comes the calculations that must be made before a new factory is built," and so on. Well, so I think this starts out, if you're a fan of the movie A Few Good Men, it sounds like a Colonel Nathan R. Jessup, Jack Nicholson speech. So I think that's kind of cool. But anyway, here in 1941, again, and this will come up again in a minute, but we're not into the active shooting war yet, but we're supplying democracies around the world with the weapons and the supplies that they need to fight against the Axis powers of Germany and Japan and Italy. So anyway, just an interesting ad here. It sold back to its hometown to a repeat buyer, and I had it priced at $14.77. Sell price $13.29. Sent it to New York. Since I just alluded to this ad, and we're talking about the war years anyway, 1941 Fortune magazine. This is the same magazine that the Remington Rand calculator came from. This is for Douglas Aircraft Company of Santa Monica, California. And so in the ad here, you can see, first of all, I want to zoom in and show you that this is all about victory. And that's what this V here is about. And of course, it just extends out with these different aircraft made by the Douglas Aircraft Company. I think this is also cool right here. Right below the globe, there's a dot, 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 and a dash, and that is the Morse code for the letter V, which also stands for victory. So you've got this aircraft country, and it says Douglas defends the democracies. Now remember, they're not talking about defending America yet because we're not in the shooting war at this point. That'll come a few months later. But right now, this is talking about all of the aircraft that Douglas Company is supplying to our allies around the world. Now, I had this one priced higher. This was, let me see. There it is. I had it priced at $23.77, and at 10% off, it sold for $21.39. This went to Bakersfield, California, so right in the vicinity of all of that Southern California aircraft industry is where this went. With the exception of the rum advertisement, I think almost everything I've showed so far has been 1950s or earlier. So we're almost proceeding in chronological order, and we'll keep that up. We'll start right here with 1952. This ad ran in Look magazine, and the advertiser is Palmolive. Now, when you think of Palmolive, at least from the 1970s TV commercials, I always think of dish soap. But Palmolive apparently made aftershave lotion in the 1950s. And down at the bottom of the page here, it says it's a great underarm deodorant too. So apparently you can splash this on your face and splash it under your arms. I'd probably splash it on my toes as well. There I go with the toes again. But anyway, the nice looking ad, 1952. This ran in Look magazine, and $7.89 sent it to Missouri. Now we come on up to 1956. The advertiser here is Fenestra, and this ran in Better Homes and Gardens. They're advertising still strong windows in beautiful colors. It says that you can have various colors inside and out. Your building contractor can help you accomplish that. But it also mentions fingertip ventilation, and you can see here that the lady's just at her kitchen sink and she's cranking the window open a little bit to get a fresh breeze. The window locks are right there in front of her. This ad, I priced it at $16.77, $15.09 at 10% off. Sent this ad to Illinois. Coming on up to 1960, you've got this advertisement from Kentucky Utilities, and this ran in that special supplement to the Louisville Courier Journal newspaper from November of 1960. I've talked about this a lot before, and I believe that that publication is probably the second most lucrative publication that I've sourced ads from, probably with nearly $400 in sales from that one publication. But this is the 100th anniversary of the Civil War was in 1960. Now, the dates at the top of this advertisement that the KU company is alluding to, 1862 was the Battle of Perryville, and that's located in central Kentucky. That was the last engagement of a campaign that the Confederacy called the Heartland Offensive. And after that, General Braxton Bragg and the Confederacy retreated south of the Kentucky border, and the Union is considered to have held Kentucky for the remainder of the war. 1912 is the date on here that the Kentucky Utilities Power Company was organized, and in 1962 will be KU's 50th anniversary of service to the Commonwealth. And so that's what this is about here. Now, just also kind of neat here, they've got a map, just a very simple map of the battle lines of that engagement at the Battle of Perryville, October 8th, 1862. So a real fun piece of paper right here. $14.77 was the price, $13.29 at 10% off. Sent this ad, well, it stayed here in Kentucky. Now we leap ahead 5 years to 1965. This gives us a couple of things to talk about here. The car in the advertisement is a 1966 Plymouth Belvedere Satellite, and I've mentioned it before, but if your car year is different from your publication year, I try to get both in there, and probably the most important of the two is the car year, and that's because collectors are looking for specific cars, not necessarily specific magazine dates. So, but at the end of each year, they start advertising the next model year, and so that's what's happened here. Now, the satellite, of course, we're in the space age now. We're launching satellites, we're launching orbital rockets, and so on. We've not landed on the moon yet. But tying into that, in the 1960s, you had a movie with James Bond called You Only Live Twice. and it was about the space race and some things going on with satellites and stuff like that. So I think that the Plymouth satellite picked up on that, popular culture stuff going on right then. And also with the James Bond reference, you've got the folks in the ad here doing that James Bond gun pose in their bright 1960s clothing. So a lot of fun stuff going on. This ran in Life magazine. $14.77 was the price. $13.29 at 10% off. Sent it to Kansas. So now we come on up to 1976. This is not the absolute newest ad of the week. Remember, that was that Myers Rum ad from 1982. This one is the second oldest. The advertiser here, Bang & Olufsen. It's a phonograph turntable. This ran in Classic Magazine 1976. We'll take a little bit closer look at it here. And all it is a stereo turntable setup. And it's got the name. I won't try to pronounce that. Maybe it's Beogram or Baogram 4002. Well, I did try, didn't I? But I probably failed miserably. But when you go back to the original page, I want to talk about this for just a second. As I'm making this video, I just went to see if there's other Bang & Olufsen turntables for sale, the advertisements, on eBay right now. And there's probably maybe 20 different listings active, priced between $8 and $12, $14, something like that. I think mine was absolutely the highest priced ad. So why did mine sell? In the title of the listing, I crammed Elk Grove Village, Illinois into the title of the listing, and the destination of this ad, where the customer is Skokie, Illinois. I had to Google it. I don't know where either Skokie or Elk Grove Village is. Turns out they're only 13 miles separated. And so I can be relatively certain that shoving the place of this company into the listing title is the reason I got this ad sold for better money than other sellers have it out there for. So I wanted to point that out. Anyway, $21.39 sent this ad to Illinois. All right, now we're looking at the weekly recap, and as you can see, this is the 50th week of 2024. By the way, that covers the dates of December the 4th to December the 10th. And this is my 47th in the series of What Sold videos. This week I sold 14 ads for $199.56. I was just 44 cents away from breaking $200. So pretty good week. And looking down the list there of decades, I sold one ad from the 1970s that we just looked at, the Bang & Olufsen ad, for $21.39. So that is the decade with the highest average sales price. The 1930s and 40s tied for second at $15.99. I hope you enjoyed the review of these advertisements. I hope you were able to learn something fun and interesting. And most of all, I hope you'll come back again next week when we'll look at some more great vintage ads. Bye for now. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like this, there's several simple ways that you can support the channel. First of all, hit the like button. It just takes a moment. Second, if you have friends that you think would enjoy the content, go down below and send them a link to the channel. Also, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you, even if it's just a friendly hello. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and turn on notifications. It's that simple. Thanks again for watching.